Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the life you're living isn't actually yours? What if every decision you've made, your job, your habits, your relationships, has been shaped more by fear than by truth? More by survival than alignment? They told you to chase success, to be nice, to keep it all together. So you did. And now you're exhausted, disconnected, and quietly wondering, is this all there is? Here's the truth most people are too scared to admit. You were never meant to live a life based on expectations. But you did because you had to. You followed the script, checked the boxes, tried to be who the world applauded. And somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. Not in one dramatic moment, but little by little, every time you said yes when you meant no. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about waking up. Because your soul isn't quiet anymore. It's restless. It's nudging you, whispering, there's more. More truth. More joy. More you. But to access that version of life, the one that actually fits, you're going to have to do the one thing no one ever taught you. Let go. Not of everything. Just of what was never yours to carry. And that's exactly what we're about to explore. We are conditioned to fix everything. The past, the future, people, and ourselves. You probably grew up believing you had to fix everything to feel safe. Your grades, your behavior, even how others saw you. And now, that pattern is running your life. Every moment feels like something's broken and needs your attention. It's like your mind's holding a toolbox, always on standby. But here's the kicker. Most of what you're trying to fix isn't even yours to begin with. It's just fear dressed up as responsibility. You don't need to fix every person who comes your way. And yet, you still try, right? You see someone struggling and your inner alarm goes off. Let me help. Let me fix this. But most of the time, people aren't looking for a solution. They're just trying to be seen. And when you interrupt their storm to build a shelter, you often rob them of the very strength they were about to discover on their own. Trying to fix your past is like arguing with a shadow. You think, if I could go back and just change that one thing. But the truth? The past doesn't want fixing. It wants honoring. You can't rewrite what happened, but you can reshape the meaning it holds. Instead of saying, I wish I had been braver, try, that moment taught me where courage begins. You don't need a time machine. You just need a new lens. And what about fixing the future? That anxious little voice whispering, you better control everything or it's all gonna fall apart. Sound familiar? You build endless scenarios in your head, rehearsing conversations, predicting disasters, making escape plans for events that haven't even happened. You call it being prepared, but deep down, it's fear trying to wear a brave face. You don't need to predict the future, you need to participate in the present. Even your own emotions, you treat them like problems. You feel sad, so you look for the cure. You get angry, so you apologize too quickly. You don't let yourself feel because you've been taught that discomfort is a red flag. But guess what? Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is sit with the mess. No rescue mission, just presence. Let the pain breathe, and it won't suffocate you. This habit of fixing is exhausting, isn't it? Keeps you on edge, always scanning for the next thing to solve. And when silence comes, oh boy, your brain panics. Something must be wrong. This can't be it. But maybe, just maybe, silence isn't a problem. Maybe it's a doorway. And that doorway, well, it leads to something you've probably been avoiding for a while now. Letting go is not weakness, it's alignment. Releasing control creates space for clarity and flow. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means getting out of the way. You've been gripping the steering wheel so tight, your knuckles are white and your mind is spinning. But the more you try to force the outcome, the more life resists. Letting go is the moment you realize you're not the architect of every detail, but you are the curator of your energy. And your energy thrives in surrender, not control. Think about it. Has obsessing ever made a situation better? Have your sleepless nights ever softened someone's heart? You hold on because you're scared of what might happen if you stop trying. But ironically, the magic only begins when you finally release your grip. Just like unclenching your fist lets you hold something new, letting go invites the unexpected to walk in, quietly, powerfully, and often in disguise. Alignment is what happens when you stop chasing and start listening. When you're no longer trying to force doors open, you start noticing the ones already unlocked. It's like that moment when you're done pushing for love, and love suddenly appears. Or when you stop stressing about your next step, and the path lights up beneath your feet. This isn't fantasy, it's the rhythm of flow. And flow doesn't show up to people who are at war with reality. You're not here to micromanage the universe. That's not your job. Your job is to follow what feels rooted, not what feels rushed. Letting go doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're perceptive. When you let go of the noise, the nonsense, the narrative that says you're not doing enough, you make space to hear the truth. And the truth usually comes in whispers, the kind you can only hear when you're still enough. Here's a practice to try. Each morning, ask yourself, what can I release today that no longer serves me? It might be a toxic thought, an old expectation, or someone else's burden you've been carrying. You don't need a ritual, a candle, or a full moon. Just a choice, a small one, every single day. Letting go happens in inches, not leaps, and that's enough. That's more than enough. Now, letting go isn't something you check off a list. It's a way of living. And when you start living from that place of alignment, something subtle begins to shift. You start noticing what you used to miss. And when that happens, you're going to stumble into something else, something deeper than control. Something that might just change how you experience discomfort altogether. It's strange how uncomfortable silence can be, right? You sit alone, no distractions, and suddenly your mind starts firing off like a faulty alarm system. Did I forget something? Should I be doing more? Is this laziness or failure? But silence isn't the enemy. It's a mirror, and most people avoid it because they're afraid of what they might see. Not the noise outside, but the noise inside. You've been taught to equate stillness with danger. That if things aren't moving, they're breaking. That if you're not improving something, you're falling behind. So silence becomes suspicious. A space that should feel sacred turns into a trigger. But here's the hard truth. Not everything needs fixing. Sometimes silence is simply asking you to listen, not to your thoughts, but to your being. When you're always solving, you're rarely feeling. And when you avoid feeling, you lose access to your own wisdom. You can't hear intuition if your mind's talking over it all the time. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room. That's what your inner life becomes when you treat silence as a problem. But when you give that moment room to breathe, what comes through might surprise you. I get it, you feel lazy when you're still. You feel behind when you're not producing. But productivity without presence is just motion without meaning. What if you allowed yourself to be unproductive for 1 hour a day? Just sit on the porch. No phone, no book, just breathe and look. You'll be amazed at what surfaces when you stop trying to create and just let yourself be. Most people miss their own transformation because they keep distracting themselves from the quiet where it begins. Healing doesn't always look like action. It often begins in the pause. In that subtle moment when you let go of trying to manage every feeling and instead meet them like old friends. That's where truth shows up, barefoot, unannounced, and usually when you least expect it. And that truth, it has something to tell you. But to hear it, you'll need to stop treating your inner world like a to-do list. That moment of silence you've been avoiding might be the very thing your soul has been craving. And once you get a taste of that depth, you might start noticing another hidden layer beneath your discomfort. One that's been fueling more than just your silence. You know that tightness in your chest when things don't go your way? That weight behind your eyes when you try to hold it all together? That's not just stress. It's resistance. Every time you fight what is, you feed what you fear. And that resistance builds up quietly, until even the smallest setback feels like a personal failure. It's not that life is harder, it's that you're tightening against it. Anxiety often isn't about the future. It's about the war you're waging with the present. You feel like you need to control everything just to feel okay. So you rehearse conversations, you overanalyze your choices, and you dread outcomes that haven't even happened yet. It's exhausting, and the worst part? Most of it happens silently, like background noise you've gotten used to but never turned off. Emotional tension shows up in the body before it hits the mind. Clenched jaw, stiff shoulders, stomach knots. It's your nervous system saying, "Hey, something's off." But instead of listening, you power through. You push harder, drink more coffee, keep busy. That's the culture, right? Stay productive. Don't slow down. But in doing that, you miss the signals. And those signals eventually become symptoms. Here's the shift. What if discomfort wasn't a threat, but a message? When you feel resistance, it's not telling you to fix, it's telling you to feel. The anxiety isn't the enemy. It's the alarm. And emotional tension, that's your body's way of asking for connection. Try this. The next time you feel overwhelmed, stop. Place your hand on your chest, take a breath, and ask, "What am I refusing to feel right now?" You'll be surprised by what answers back. The more you resist emotions, the more power they gain. But when you turn toward them, even with trembling hands, they begin to soften. Just naming your feelings out loud is enough to shift their grip. You don't need to solve sadness. You just need to sit with it. Let it teach you. Let it move through you like a wave that was never meant to drown you, only to remind you that you're still alive. And the deeper you go into that tension, the more you realize it's not just about stress or pressure, it's about disconnection. Disconnection from yourself, from your truth, and from the present moment. But don't worry, you're closer than you think. Because right beneath all that resistance, there's something far more powerful than anxiety waiting to surface. It's wild how quickly your mind can turn discomfort into self-blame. When things don't improve fast enough, you assume you're the problem. Like maybe you're too broken, too far gone, or just not trying hard enough. But that voice, it's lying. Healing isn't a straight line, and growth isn't instant oatmeal. Just because something's not fixed yet doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. You live in a culture that glorifies speed and overnight success. So when your progress looks more like slow unfolding than fireworks, you start to panic. Why can't I just get it together? You wonder. But maybe you're not supposed to get it together. Maybe you're meant to fall apart piece by piece so you can rebuild with truth instead of pressure. Some things aren't meant to be rushed. You are one of them. Think about how you treat a friend who's going through something hard. You'd never say, "Why aren't you fixed yet?" No. You'd sit beside them, listen, and remind them that healing takes time. But when it's you, the grace disappears. You become your own worst critic. Try flipping that script. Treat yourself like someone you deeply care about. Your inner world needs compassion, not correction. You're not broken because you still feel pain. You're not defective because you haven't figured it out. Some days the win is just showing up, brushing your teeth, drinking a glass of water, sending that one scary message. Progress hides in those tiny acts, and the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong is the belief that you should be further along by now. Perfectionism sneaks in disguised as self-improvement. You think, once I fix this, I'll finally feel worthy. But worthiness was never tied to your performance. You were worthy before the mistakes. You'll be worthy after. Letting go of the need to be done is the start of something real. Something that doesn't collapse every time life shakes a little. That's where resilience begins, in the mess, not in the masterpiece. And when you begin to accept that not everything needs to be fixed, something strange starts to happen. You stop trying so hard to be something, and you start learning how to be with yourself. And that shift, subtle as it may seem, sets the stage for something much deeper. Something that connects you not just with your truth, but with something far greater than you alone. Letting go isn't about floating off into some spiritual sunset. It's about coming home, to the version of you that existed before the world told you who you should be. Somewhere along the way, you picked up 1,000 roles. the achiever, the fixer, the one who always keeps it together. But none of those roles are truly you. They're masks. And letting go, that's how you start peeling them off. When you release the pressure to perform, you make space to remember who you are underneath it all. Not the titles, not the trauma, not the expectations, just you. It's quieter in that place. Less shiny, but infinitely more real. You stop chasing validation and start valuing presence. And in that shift, you feel something you hadn't felt in a while. Freedom without conditions. You've probably been so busy trying to prove yourself that you forgot how to be with yourself. That's the cost of control. It disconnects you from your own spirit. But when you let go, even a little, you reconnect with that inner voice that never stopped whispering. The one that says, "You're enough as you are." Try listening to it next time you feel the urge to fix, push, or pretend. Letting go is how you stop abandoning yourself. Every time you betray your truth to make others comfortable, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you drift a little further from center. But you don't need to keep doing that. You can come back. You can choose you not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. In a way that says, "I'm no longer available for living a lie." So, how do you return to your true self? You slow down. You create space for solitude. You spend time doing things that light you up, not for productivity, but for presence. Maybe it's painting, walking in nature, journaling without a filter. And when the world tries to pull you back into the performance, you pause and remember. You don't have to audition for your own life. The more you return to who you really are, the more the noise loses its grip. You stop reacting to every tug, every demand. You start choosing from alignment instead of fear. And in that space between who you were told to be and who you actually are, you might discover something unexpected. Something that feels ancient and familiar. Something that's been waiting for you all along. There's a specific kind of tired that doesn't come from lack of sleep. It comes from holding on too long. Holding on to the outcome, the apology, the version of you that's always fine. That's the weight that drains you, not just emotionally, but energetically. But the moment you let go, something shifts. You stop leaking your power, and you start reclaiming it, piece by piece, breath by breath. Energy isn't just about physical stamina. It's about alignment. When you're constantly chasing or clinging, your energy scatters. But when you let go, it consolidates. You feel it in your body. Lighter shoulders, deeper breath, calmer heart. That's not magic. That's physics. What you hold on to holds on to you. Letting go is how you cut the cord and return that power to its rightful owner, you. Think about how drained you feel after obsessing over someone's opinion, or trying to manage a future that hasn't even happened yet. It's like emotional debt you pay with your peace. But the moment you release that control, your energy comes back home. It's not about giving up. It's about giving yourself back to what matters. Presence, integrity, inner stillness. I've seen people heal chronic fatigue simply by releasing resentment. Not because forgiveness is mystical, but because it's efficient. Holding grudges is exhausting. Carrying unspoken grief is heavy. You don't need to forgive because someone deserves it. You forgive because you deserve to be free. And freedom, real freedom, gives you your energy back in ways no supplement ever could. Try a simple practice. Before bed, ask yourself, where did my energy go today? You'll be surprised how often your fatigue isn't physical. It's emotional mismanagement. Then ask, what can I let go of? Even just 1%. You don't have to fix it all at once. Tiny releases lead to big returns. And every time you reclaim a little more of yourself, you feel stronger, clearer, more you. And once you taste that kind of clarity, the grounded kind, not the forced kind, you won't want to go back to the chaos. Letting go stops being a practice and becomes a lifestyle. One that makes space not just for peace, but for purpose. And that purpose is waiting just around the corner. You'll see it the moment you stop trying so hard to find your life and start living the one that was meant for you. So now that you know, What are you going to do with it? Keep living on autopilot, carrying stories that were never yours? Or are you finally ready to reclaim the version of you that's been buried under pressure, performance, and pretending? You don't need another self-help trend. You need truth. And the truth is, your life begins the moment you stop living someone else's. What are you still holding on to that's draining your energy? What would change if, just for today, you released the need to fix everything and simply felt it instead? Ask yourself, what part of you has been waiting for permission to come alive again? Because it's not too late. The real you, the one that breathes easier, laughs louder, and loves deeper, isn't gone. It's just been silenced. Let today be the turning point, not with some huge dramatic gesture, but with one honest decision, to choose you, to let go of what's no longer aligned, to finally stop performing and start living. You've come this far, why not see what happens when you stop shrinking for the sake of comfort? And hey, if this hit home, don't just click away and forget it. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this journey isn't a one-time awakening. It's a process, one we walk together. And before you go, make sure you watch this next video right here. It dives even deeper into what's been keeping you stuck and shows you how to finally break free.